Hello, my dear curious friend. It's another Sunday, and I'm happy to welcome you for episode 4 of the Curious Pavel podcast sessions. I hope you're ready for a journey because today I am taking you to Iceland. Yes, I'm meeting another tour guide. Yes, I have never met her before. Nothing unusual so far, but we had an amazing talk. I learned a lot of things, and I'm super excited to share them with you. So, without further ado, let's go to today's episode and learn something new about Iceland. Hello, good morning, or shall I say buenos dias since you are in Spain. How are you doing?
Hi, very good. I'm melting in here, but very good. How are you?
So, I'm very good. Thank you for asking. Can we just clarify? So, we're going to be talking about Iceland today. Is that right?
Yes.
Is it Reykjavik?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yo. Is that a yes in Icelandish?
Yes.
Yo. It's great. It would be lovely to learn some new words as well. So, tell me, where are you from?
Oh well, I was born in Spain, but my family is multicultural, and I lived a bit of everywhere in Europe. So I'm not sure, never, how to answer this question.
Okay. So, where are you born there?
I was born in Alicante, Costa Blanca.
Okay. Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah,
Eh,
very
Yeah.
different.
Okay, so you're with family now during the lockdown.
Yes, I'm stuck in here.
Okay. Well, I suppose it's a good place to be stuck in. Quite a drastic, it's a big difference in temperature from Iceland.
Oh yes.
But do you like the hot weather?
No, not at all. I
No.
really miss Iceland right now.
Oy, 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 oy. Okay, soon, hopefully. So do you know any updates on the flights?
Yeah, actually, the 25, I think the borders are open, and my flight goes to Iceland the 5th of July. So I'm
Oh,
really glad to be back, to go
almost
back.
almost immediately.
Yes, yes.
All right. So, how long you been living in Iceland?
Almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years. Well, how long you been a tour guide?
3 years.
3 years. So, how did you decide to go into this venture?
Well, actually, it started a bit with whale activism that I started to get a job involved with tourism and whales. So I ended up
Well,
being a tour guide.
so wait, Wales?
Whales, yeah.
So how exactly? Tell us in a bit more details how this happened.
I love to travel. I always loved, and I grew up with a father that looked like Indiana Jones. He was always traveling, so I kind of grew up with the need of experience new places and learn a lot. So I was studying cultural anthropology, so I always had this passion to learn different cultures and places and languages. So when I had this opportunity in Iceland, I didn't want to give it up. So I just started to study tourism just to be better in this. So yeah.
So did you travel with your father then?
No, this is a bit kind of Lara Croft. Like my father was a very good historian and naturalist in the 70s, but he was 30 years more than my mother. So he kind of traveled on his own. I was a baby, a little girl. And then, well, he passed away. And I stayed with all his treasures from all around the world growing up. So the last 15 years, I've been a bit like Tom Raider, trying to improve myself a lot to be more like my father and learn as much as he. So yeah, it's a bit like that.
Wow. Wow, that is some story already. I see your background is quite, as you said, sensually. Are you collecting these things from your travels?
Yes, yes, actually, yes. Instead of buying souvenirs or postcards, everywhere I go, I've been using this map the whole day. So I'm gonna keep this map because it's the tool that it's been useful for me. So I'm just gonna get it, put it in the wall, and put some mitra papers or something beautiful that someone gave me, like an origami if I was in Japan, or a ticket from a store in London. I don't know, something that
I can.
takes me back to that
Mm-hmm.
memory.
I can completely relate to that because when I go somewhere, I also prefer to have a paper map, for example. It is much more, it gets you more. And your wall is basically like a photo album, but instead of photos, you have, tickets and maps.
Yes.
And it's a quite a big wall. I see you travel a lot. That makes me happy.
I try as much as I would like to. Yes. I wish I could do more, but I think all our plans went a bit stop due to the COVID-19. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
But what can we do? I mean, we this is something we cannot change, so we just wait for things to get better. All right, let's go to Iceland then. I'm really curious about this country because I don't know anything. I know that there was a volcano there is a volcano that erupted years ago, and like not whole Europe, but Northwest Europe was really affected, including flights. I
Yeah.
know that Iceland did very well in one of the football competitions. They beat England,
Yes.
and it was the bizarre thing. It was that in that football team there were barbers, farmers. They were not professional football players because the country is not big. Like how many
hmm
people live in the country? Do you know?
Well, in the whole island, around 300,000, and in the countryside, I guess the 20% of the population lives in the countryside,
Hmm.
but it's very tiny. Like, I think there are like four cities, tiny cities outside the capital area.
It
So,
is. It is. It
mm,
is. I'm not sure. Yeah. Now that you said 300,000 rings a bell in my head, and I recall that, and I can believe. I think it was an euro. I'm not sure what the competition was. I think it was an euro. Probably the whole island was at the Euros watching the games. Must have been. Where were you
yes.
at this time?
I was on the top of the hill in Reykjavik, in the city center. We had a cinema screen, and all Reykjavik was there watching the football match with the color paint, the face completely painted. And I never liked football, but I really enjoyed Icelandic football, and I love the ambient, and people was really sweet.
I really enjoyed it as well because usually people go for the underdogs, and they were
Mm.
a big underdog, and they did really well. I mean, they really played good football. It's not like they all everybody got in front of the goal and it's like no, keep the ball away. But they actually played good football, and I'm really happy for that. So, are you into football now?
Yeah, I mean, I really love hockey, but now I am into football a bit more because of the in Iceland, everyone was saying that they are very grateful for the Icelanders to be on the football. What was it? The Euro Cup? No,
I
the
think it was
Mundial.
Euro. Yes, I
Euro.
think it was Euro.
Because they just wanted to show this humbleness that this countryside people and a so small nation, so familiar, so humble, was able to. They were the second ones, right? I think.
Oh no, I don't think they went that far.
No.
Second ones will make that they reach the final. I don't think they reached
Mm.
the final. But they
Oh
did
yeah, yeah.
really well. Nobody
Mm.
expected they beat England, and because here there is a in England there is a shop called Iceland,
hmm
and there were a lot of jokes. They were coming to football players. They ring on their doors, and they'll say Iceland delivery, and there were so many jokes, and it was a hilarious time for me because maybe because I'm not English, um, but. So let's start traveling to Iceland then.
hmm
I land in Reykjavik, and then what's next? What's happening?
Well, yeah, many people it's confused because you actually don't land in Reykjavik. It's
Oh,
actually at the if you imagine the island completely round, at the end in this corner there's like a tiny peninsula, and there you stop. It's in Keflavik Airport.
okay. Yeah, well,
So
I didn't expect it to be exactly in the city. I mean, usually airports are a bit further away, but is that the only airport you have?
yes and no. It's the only international airport. So wherever in the world you come to Iceland, you stop in Keflavik. But we don't have this communication system as you can find in Gatwick or in Helsinki or in Tokyo. You have to book in advance a bus because we don't have railways, we don't have subways, we just have the bus. due to
Mm-hmm.
the earthquakes and the lava fields. People doesn't build anything underneath, so you have to take like 45 minutes, 1 hour ride back to Reykjavik, and you actually land in the middle of the nowhere in a lava field. So usually people when they arrive to Iceland they get confused because they expect to be like first world, right? Like Europe, and they don't realize they are arriving to a desert island in the middle. It really looks like another planet. So people comes with an expectations, and the expectations are always upside down, and it's completely
Okay.
different, but amazing.
So wait, so if I don't book in advance, what's gonna happen?
Long queues because it's a very tiny airport, tiny international airport. So you can still book a bus, but it will take longer. You are gonna have to wait a lot, and the queues are very long. And you imagine a very tiny airport for all the flights that come to the island. And the
Oh, that
tourism, I think, is the second biggest industry.
what's the first one? Farming,
Fishing,
fishing.
yes.
Makes sense. Okay, while we're on the bus and booking the bus, let's talk about prices just for a second. So how in general, I would assume it's a bit expensive.
It's extremely expensive.
Extremely
Yes.
expensive. Okay, so how about some prices about the bus ticket, food in the supermarket, food in the restaurant, and something else you would like to add as well? Something to example of prices, hotel as well or hostels.
Sure. So I think it was in 2017 when the krona, the Icelandic kroner, was the highest in not in history, but in the last 5 years. So I think that the Icelandic economy was more expensive than Switzerland and Dubai at that time.
Whoa!
Yes, but right
But now it's
now,
a bit down.
yes, it
Okay.
always happens with the small economies. But so either, I mean, if you come as a tourist, uh, you are not gonna be able to find the same commodities. I don't know if that's the word.
Mm-hmm.
As if you go to a bigger city that you know you have a 24-hour shops,
Mm-hmm.
or quickest way to find a hostel that has a space. Again, Reykjavik is very, very tiny. So sometimes if you don't book in advance, like a lot in advance, you don't have spots for a Blue Lagoon or for hostel. Sometimes you have to share a room with 5 liter beds. I don't know how to say it.
Like 5-story beds,
Story beds,
probably.
yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. And you share
Five
that,
story. You have a lot of people in these rooms.
yes. Those are like the cheapest hotels, and they are in Hlemur bus station. But I think now it's getting a bit better, and they are building a bit more. But these last years, when I first moved to Iceland, the tourism was starting to grow. Like I think in 2016, 17, there was a boom in the tourism. So you imagine to turn a city as small as Reykjavik, which is even smaller than a normal Spanish town, for example, the one that I am in right now. And even people, as young people who is in university or sharing apartment, you live in the basement of your parents, or you share a room with another people, or you share an apartment with a lot of people. And but that's if you are in the center, in the in Reykjavik downtown. If you go a bit farther, because it's separated by districts, so that the center will be 100 or 101. But if you go up to 104, 105, or you go out of the neighborhood of Reykjavik downtown, you find a bit cheaper rents, a bit cheaper Airbnbs, and you can have a basement all for yourself. You don't have to share it with anyone. I mean, I say basement, but it looks like a first floor
I was just going
with
to
big
say, like,
windows.
whoa, you don't attract me much with a basement all by myself. Okay, well, that's not very attractive. So you say the first floor, a whole floor you can have.
Yes. If you, but I think it happens with everything. Like if you go farther outside of the city,
Yes,
yeah.
but
Um,
do you think? Yeah, yes, I will remember that for a while. Yeah. So would you say it's better to book something in Reykjavik or go a bit further? or book next to the airport?
And next to the airport is never a good thing because you are extremely far from everything. But also, it depends on your plans because you are. It really depends. If it's your first time in Iceland, maybe the best chance is the best place it will be to stay in Reykjavik. It doesn't matter if it's downtown because people mainly comes to Iceland because of the nature.
Hmm.
So sometimes people rent a car. I think there are many car rentals in Iceland, and most of them are close to the airport. So it doesn't really matter where you are. If you rent a car, you don't need to be in the city center because you can always take the car and do the Golden Circle or the South Coast or go to Snæfellsnes Peninsula. But if you don't book a car and you are dependent on the tours, then yes, you have to be downtown or
I
in
see.
an hotel next by that the big tourism companies have a pickup so they can
Okay.
go. The
Hmm.
tourism is starting to grow and elope more. So they are trying to adapt things really fast.
You said the tourism started to grow 2016, 17.
No, I mean, it was growing, but we had a boom during that
Okay,
years.
probably because of the euro, because the euro was 2016, and then
Mm.
maybe Iceland got introduced to people. I was like, Iceland, oh really? Let's see what's this all about. So maybe that's how that could be part of the reason. So the tours you're doing, do you do only Reykjavik or you go outside as well?
Well, the ones I do are usually on the sea, are usually in a boat. So, but
Whoa,
then,
so you go in the sea, have make a small circle and then you come back. Is that what you mean?
yeah, we go around Flaxafloy Bay, which is Reykjavik's bay, and we go to see the whales and the fjords that are around, and also the tiny islands with puffins, and also sometimes the northern lights from the boat.
From the boat. Wow. I was in Alaska. I was in Alaska and I was really close to see Northern Lights, but I had to come back mid-September and it wasn't
Mm.
that cold to see the Northern Lights,
Oh, that's a shame.
unfortunately. Yeah, maybe I'll see them in Iceland.
Oh, yes,
Uh,
definitely.
so so because you mentioned few places, peninsulas and other places that I haven't heard about. What can we actually see in Iceland? What are the top things?
Wow. Okay, so
Okay, okay. I know there are many. There are many. Let's say three or four things. Let's stay
okay.
on that.
So you mentioned before the volcano that got erupted,
Can you say that name again?
Eyjafjallajökull.
Ah, yeah. Okay. And it was such a funny period. I mean, not that because the volcano erupted, but on the news, every news channel was saying it in a different way,
Yes.
and it was such a funny story.
We
So
had
yeah, what?
a very cool t-shirt logo in Iceland on every single souvenir store that says Chuck Norris can say Eyjafjallajökull backwards. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, Chuck Almighty. So what are you saying? You can go on the volcano?
Not exactly on the volcano, but you go close by because you have a you have a Solheimar glacier next by, and you can go on glacier tours, but also the road, the N1, because we just have one road that circles the whole island, and
Hmm.
then the others are just secondary roads. So if you follow the N1, you never get lost because it's the only
It's a
one.
circle. Yeah.
Yes. So from that road, you can actually see the Eyjafjallajökull and another ones too.
Okay. So that's in a way on top of your list. Go and see the volcano.
Yeah, I mean, volcano activities are in the top. You can go on helicopter, you can go on a glacier, and from the glacier, you see the volcano. You do a lot of hiking in Iceland. It's for hiking and adventure. I also would say the south coast. It's the main attraction. It's the waterfall track, and you arrive to the black sand beach, which is Reynisfjara next to Vik, and that will be the main attraction. I think I
The
will
main
say.
attraction is this waterfall track.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are three or four,
Mhm.
as you said. So I wouldn't know which one of them. It's in the first one. I think, and maybe this is a
For
very
you, for you, for
for
you.
me,
Yes,
from my experience in tourism,
yes.
I will say that the Golden Circle, South Coast, Snæfellsnes Peninsula, and whale watching in Reykjavik.
Okay, okay. Let's break this down now. What is this golden circle?
Okay, the Golden Circle includes Þingvellir National Park. It's 30 minutes 40 from Reykjavik to the inside, so that's why I say to be in Keflavik is not a good option because
Mm-hmm,
Keflavik is very south, so you already have to drive 45 minutes to Reykjavik to drive to the center another 45
mm-hmm.
minutes.
I
So you're
see.
pretty far.
Okay.
So it
So
includes
that yes, yes. Go on. Sorry.
it's okay. Thingvellir is the Lava Fields National Park, and also you cross the two tectonic plates, the European and the American. Hmm.
Well, do you see it like, or you cannot tell the difference?
I mean, there are places what that are marked. There's a tiny canyon that has in one place America and the other Europe, and you can cross the bridge. Also, you can go to dive in Silfra, which is a natural um, river. You could say like a natural canyon, and when you are diving, you can touch both tectonic plates underneath.
I've seen videos on that. So yeah, that's more appealing to me rather than just walking over. I've been on the equator. I've been
Hmm.
on the meridian. It would be cool to be on two tectonic plates at the same time as well. So I think I will do that as well when I go to Iceland. Okay, so that's in the park.
Yes, you also have Kerið, which is a sleeping volcano crater, and it's a red volcano. So you can just walk and go completely around of the volcano,
Yeah.
and just when you see the center is just a tiny pond of water, but it's I think it's not sleeping but dead. The volcano is not active.
Whew, okay, that's good news. That's good news. Okay, that was number one, the golden circle. Then number two, what did you say?
No, I mean in the Golden Circle you also have a huge waterfall called Gullfoss, and from
Okay.
that waterfall I think it's the strongest one, and that brings a lot of energy to the whole city. So that what we pay for energy, water, everything, it's I don't think we pay for it, but we just pay for it with our taxes, and it's a very very low amount. So I think
So
it's
it's produced from the waterfall.
yes, all the energy that moves Iceland comes from the waterfalls and just natural energy. So we don't
Wow.
pay for electricity, water, or heat, nothing like that.
Wow. So you pay a lot of rent then.
We pay high rents, but it's very equilibrated with our salary because we have a
Hmm.
very good basic salary, and also one of the longest weeks in Europe. We work from 43 to 46 hours weekly, but yeah, we don't pay for water or heat or electricity.
Yeah, that is a really good perk of living in Iceland. What is the minimum salary then?
Around 2,000 euro.
2,000 is the minimum.
Yeah,
Oh
around.
wow,
It
it's a good
depends. Like
minimum.
if you are uh, working as an au pair or cleaning houses or cleaning hotels or serving rooms in a hotel, it will be around 1,900 euro, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But also
Okay,
with hours and extra hours, you arrive to 2,000 or 2,100.
I see. So how much I will pay for a rent average? Not in the center, somewhere outskirts of the city. Let's say.
If you live alone, maybe 1,200. If you want to live alone in your whole
Mm-hmm.
beautiful
In
basement, like a
in one
hobbit,
basement. Yeah.
yes. And that's average. But usually, people, when they go to live alone, they share an apartment. So maybe from 600 to 800 each.
Okay.
But also, you have a lot of help. And if you don't arrive to a minimum of income, the government helps you. But usually, you are pretty good. Maybe you take some months to stabilize, but
Mhm.
then you start to work and to get how it works, everything. So you're okay.
All right. Okay, cool. We went aside with these salaries and prices for a bit. Let's go back to the tourism and what can we see? Is there anything else you would like to recommend us?
Yeah, in the Golden Circle,
Yes.
Geysir will be an amazing place to see. Like every 5, 10 to 15 minutes, the Geysir explodes. So you can see the water coming from the earth, like completely primitive, amazing natural power, natural beauty.
So
And
is
also
it
the
just
word,
one? Is it just one?
there, yes, in the Golden Circle, there's just one.
Okay,
But
but
I
there
mean,
are
there,
others in the island as well.
I'm not completely sure. I think it's just Geysir. Like there are geothermal places in Iceland and a lot of hot springs and maybe tiny geysers that come from the earth. But the huge one, it's in Geysir.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Golden Circle take 1 day at least to
Yes,
see.
one day, like you can do the completely driving 4 hours, but you are going to stop. You're going to eat. You're going to hike a bit. You also have tiny waterfalls and this huge waterfall. Many places to stop. You also can stop in a huge hot lake called Laugarvatn Fontana, and you have a hot spring, a pool in outside close to the lake. So they kind of put the a wall to let the water stay in the pool. So the
Yeah,
lake is like mild, but the pool is the hot one.
I see. Oh, well, so people just drive there, take off their clothes, and jump in.
Yeah, but I think the this pool is regulated just to check how many people go, see if they follow the
Uh-huh.
rules, because Icelandic people has a hot spring culture. So for many, not maybe Europeans, but when Americans come to Iceland, they don't know that they have to get naked in front of strangers in the shower before going to the pool. And there's sometimes a woman in the women's section and a male in the male section that is going to check that you wash yourself properly before you put your swimsuit on and go to the pool. So everything is very hygienic. So for Europeans, I think it's okay, but it's always a bit of cultural shock from another cultures.
I see. Interesting. I can imagine that. Actually, I can imagine that. The I was I was going to ask. Well, the person is that is checking if you wash properly. Are they naked as well? But anyway, let's not go there. What about some other places like outside the Golden Circle?
Well, then you can do the South Coast. Um, it's just called South Coast or the Waterfall Track. And you start from Reykjavik and you pass Hveragerði. And the first stop will be have you watched Game of Thrones?
Not much.
Well, you stop in many Game of Thrones places in
I
this one.
see. Oh,
Hmm. So you go
okay.
to it's a 4 kilometers hiking in Hveragerði, and it's called Reykjardalur. It's a hot river which is up in the highlands. So you hike 4 kilometers, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes in the middle of the nowhere to arrive to a hot river which is up in the highlands, and there's a lot of people there. I mean, it's not a crowded place because not every tourist wants to go there and hike a lot of time and jump into a hot river, then to go back half wet. So there is not so many people, but adventurous people who wants to do that. But that will be the first stop, and I highly recommend it because it's first experience with Icelandic land, Icelandic nature.
Okay, so you land on the south of the island, you go to Reykjavik, then you go back to the south of the island to explore more there.
Exactly.
Okay, okay, makes sense. So you said there are a lot of people when these things that you mentioned so far are quite popular, you say. How about some things, places that are not that popular?
I think that will be if you go for the second time to Iceland. Like
Yes.
people, when they come to the first trip, they want to do the main attractions. They go to see the waterfalls. They want the black sand beach, and then the
Mhm.
second time they come, they will go up north, or they will go to check Westfjords or Egilsstaðir to see reindeers. So the second time in Iceland will be more adventurous, and the first one will be like more safe touristy attractions. And then the second will be just seeking out for adventure.
Like
So,
properly going into the wild.
exactly. Yes.
I see. So you would say if we go next second time, probably just book something up north.
Or, yeah, I mean, to stay, yes.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
maybe what something that is cheaper than rent an hotel and gives you more autonomy, it's to rent a camper van.
Camper. Yes.
Yes.
Probably.
It's because in Iceland you have free camping everywhere. It is prohibited to create a campfire,
Hmm.
although there are special places in campings and such. But you can camp everywhere. It's completely free as long as you respect the nature. So if you take that, you can just go everywhere and not worry about anything. And if you need to take a shower, you can stop in one of the many, many pools that are everywhere and just take a shower. You just pay like 400 krona to 500 krona, which is maybe 370 or 4 euro. And you can
Okay.
go there, take a shower, wash up yourself, and just back on the road again.
So you, as you said, kronas. Can I buy stuff with euros as well, or I need kronas?
You need kronar. If you pay with euro, you can pay with euro in many places downtown Reykjavik. Like, not in a store, for example, but if you come, for example, to the museum I was working in, Wales of Iceland, we accept Canadian and American dollars. We accept euro, and I think also Japanese yen and Swiss francs, and I think Norwegian krona and Swedish krona. But for example, you cannot give coins, just big bills that we can change in the bank, in the national bank. But something very curious in Iceland is if you travel there, we don't use money. We pay everything with the phone or with a credit card, even if it's just 10 cents for a gum. You pay everything with card. Of course, if you come as a tourist, you're gonna get money out. But yeah, I because of the changing krona, I will recommend always to change the krona in the National Bank of Iceland downtown rather than in the airport
Hmm.
because of
Of
the
course.
yeah,
Always. Yes.
always.
They need to make money on the airport. Yeah, in England it's actually the same. We don't. Most of the people, including me, I don't have any cash. I don't wear cash with me anymore. I have just in my wallet just £5 or £10 just in case if I need to buy something that cannot pay with a card.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, anything as you said, even 10 cents, 10 pence, whatever it is, just use the card. I don't even wear a card. I don't have a card. I have everything connected to my phone. So
Yes.
my phone basically is my life. I rather, if somebody wants to take my phone, I rather let him stab me in the back rather than take my phone. um, yeah. So what about uh, the best time to visit Iceland? Because there are a lot of things to do, and glaciers, and before that, actually, you mentioned something Blue Lagoon, and I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Yo,
So
is it is it one of the top? Is it one of the top things as well?
yeah, I will say yes, huge yes, but it's not something that I recommend openly.
Why so? Tell us.
Okay. I don't recommend it not because it's not an amazing place, which it's amazing place, it's breathtaking place, but many people come without booking in advance, and for the Blue Lagoon, you have to book even from 3 to 6 months in advance.
What?
It's really crowded, and you have to book sometimes for different hours. I don't remember how it works now, but if many years before you could book for the whole afternoon, now you book for 2 hours or 3 hours. Like from 7 to 9, we allow these people,
Mm.
and then from 3 to 5 in the afternoon, we allow this much people. So it has easily become an extremely touristy spot, like selfie tourism, I call this. You don't go to enjoy, you go there for the selfie. So if you want natural hot springs, Iceland is full of that. But of course, if you want the selfie, you go to the Blue Lagoon.
Blue Lagoon. Okay, so probably the biggest thing I learned is book in advance. everything, anything, attractions, hotels, flights, shuttles, everything you need to
Yes.
book in advance.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
funny because people don't make research and they just travel and then imagine you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to Iceland. I'm gonna have a picture of the Blue Lagoon. I'm so excited. And then you go and you start, start checking how to get there, and they'll say, "Oh, where is your ticket?" And I say, I don't have a ticket. Oh, it's the same here. Same thing here with London. Many people come to visit London to take a picture with Big Ben, but Big Ben now is under construction. So they come and they see
Mm.
something. They see a clock tower in scaffolding. Looks like Transformers. They're like, "Whoa, what is Big Ben?" I'm like, "This is Big Ben." And they're like, "You're joking." I said, "No, if you want to see it, you should come back in 4 years from now." And they are so disappointed. But yeah, you
Yes.
should make your research. So
It is very
these are good
important.
tips.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
good
People
tips.
needs to. Sorry. Yes.
Need to what? Need to what? Need to book.
Need to do a bit of research of Iceland in advance before coming, because the main thing I've seen in tourism these years was that people is never ready, and they expect Iceland to be like Norway or Europe or America. They think everything is going to be so easygoing and with a lot
Mm.
of resources, but they have to imagine that they go to a desert island. Yes, it is completely in the 21st century of technology, but life works completely different in there. So they have to realize that at 6 p.m. or at 5 p.m., stores and supermarkets are going to be closed. And they open sometimes in the winter at 12 p.m. and they close at 5. And for example, I've seen many, many young people going to the supermarket to buy beer. Alcohol, it's not sold in supermarkets in Iceland. You have special stores and they are not opened all the time. And you always have to show your ID. And one beer could be up to 10 euro, just one.
What?
So people needs to realize they come to a completely different culture and a completely different world.
Okay, so when you travel to Iceland, take your own beers. Don't
Yes,
don't buy from.
basically. Uh-huh.
10 euros. Well, when I was in Belgium, I had a beer which costed 10 euros, but it was a special beer. It was made by monks that live only in the monastery, and it was some because 10 euros it's quite expensive.
Oh, yes.
It was a different thing, but probably not for Iceland. For Iceland, maybe it's not that expensive. Okay, so what are the best times to visit Iceland in your mind?
My mind. I will say end of September, beginning of October.
Oh, just on time for my birthday. That's shaping very well.
A
Okay, why
perfect
why so?
birthday.
Yeah.
First of all, do you have in mind that during the summer we have a 24-hour sunlight, and in the winter we have almost darkness the whole day?
Okay.
So winter is not the best time to come to Iceland,
So when you
as
say winter, which months is that?
December is not that harsh, but I will say January, February, March, like the hardest
Mm-hmm.
ones. And yeah, like mid December until mid March will be the hardest ones. But January and February are completely a big no. Blizzards, flights canceled in the airport due to the snow and strong winds, because Iceland has, after Hawaii, the strongest winds on Earth.
Whoa, that's curious. Number two,
Hmm.
strongest winds on Earth goes to Iceland. Wow. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do in the winter then?
We are inside creatures. We do a lot of stuff inside.
But is your work still going, or are you work from home, or how is this happening?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the work that you have. You, for example, you cannot take people into a glacier hike because you need
Yes.
many hours to get there to and a big etc. But for example, museums or the whale watching still's open. But if in the summer we have 3 trips for whale watching, during the winter we just have one, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. No, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And in the summer we will have at 9, at 1, sometimes at 10 and a half if we have another boat, and then from 5 to 8 in the afternoon. But in the winter, just one. The tiny sunlight hours that we have and are usually cloudy or a bit rainy. So winter is not the best time. because we don't have winters like in, for example, Rovaniemi, Finland, which is amazing, and you have these beautiful winter activities. In Iceland, we don't have that. It is more for the summer and the yeah,
Yeah, winter just hide
yes,
inside. That's it.
hide.
Okay. Okay, so you
So
say end of September, then I should come and visit.
yes, or it depends on what you want to do. I will say May or end of September, because May is the time when the blue whales come back to Iceland. So it's an amazing time for whale watching because everything is melting, the ice is melting, and the sea is more alive. So you see more whales, and you start to have more sunny days. Sorry,
Okay.
but then you start to have 24-hour sunlight, and you cannot see the northern lights. So many people comes in the middle of July. I'm very angry and disappointed because I wanted to come to see the northern lights. Oh well, you came to the in the summertime. Like we
Uh-huh.
cannot switch the northern light interrupter on or for you, and they get very angry. They don't understand. So in September we start to have night and day again. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that cold yet, but end September, some moment of October starts to be very cold. And well, the solar storm is the same the whole year,
The what?
but solar storm, which is
What
what
is this?
produces the northern lights.
Okay. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah, people are funny. I used to work in Greece, and then one time a family came to. I was working in the tourism in a hotel, and then one time a family came, and they were so angry that the hotel wasn't on the beach, and it was just actually one road, literally one road that was separating them from the beach. And I'm like, it's just one road. No, when we go to Egypt, you just stay on the beach. Like literally, you walk there, the beach is there. I said, look, like I cannot move the hotel, like, I cannot move the sea. Like that's it. Just sorry. They were like, we always book 3 weeks. I say, why did you book 3 weeks in a place you don't know? Like, just come down,
Hmm.
chill, go to the beach and sleep there. Uh, I managed to melt them down, but people are funny. That's the bottom line. People are funny. So, what do you do from May to August when it's sunlight almost all day?
A lot of
You
hiking, a lot
you
of
sleep
outdoor.
in the basement, right? You go in the basement, no sunlight there, and then just sleep there.
Oh, I mean, the basements have big windows, so everything is very illuminated. It doesn't look like a basement, like the
Basement at
concept we
all.
have. Yeah, it's like a first floor. We just have the windows a bit more high. Summer is for outdoor activities, glacier walks, whale watching, surfing, a lot of hiking, a lot of finding hot springs. I really recommend to go to Snæfellsnes Peninsula, where it's the volcano that leads to the center of the earth.
Wow, that is interesting. I was just
Snæfellsnes is a
okay.
must go.
I- is that in the south?
No, it's up north, Reykjavik, maybe 1 hour, almost 2 hours driving from Reykjavik up north.
Okay.
Hmm.
How do they know it goes to the center of the earth? Somebody went down there.
Yeah, Julio Verne,
What?
you know, this is Spanish
Ah.
writer.
Okay. Okay. I see. Okay, that's a good tip and other things to see. So, how about if you tell me some stories or curious facts from maybe your tours or the country itself?
Okay. Do you know in Iceland we have this fantasy culture, and many people still believes in elves and nature creatures that lives inside the rocks
You see
and
many. You say many people. You mean many people that come to visit, or many local people as well?
locals,
Whoa.
up to
Okay.
60% of locals.
60% believe in elves. So, has anybody seen an elf?
Many Icelanders said that they've seen elves, yes,
Okay.
but not these Lord of the Rings concept elves, but just like another kind of nature creature that lives in the country.
Interesting. Okay. What else? What else? Tell me more.
Well, if you go all around Iceland, there are many places that says in Icelandic and in English warning signals that says "Do not touch the rocks," "Do not step on the rocks," "Do not move the rocks." And if you go, for example, to Ísafjörður, which is a tiny town at the entrance of Westfjords, you have there the Witchery and Sorcery Museum of Icelandic History. And there you can find a lot about Icelandic folklore, elves, and curses, the witch burning, which were almost all of them male, not female witch hunting. In Iceland,
Well,
the
they
yeah,
were chasing male witches.
yes, there was just male witches in the ancient times in Iceland. Very few women.
Whoa, that is interesting as well. Okay.
Of course, you also have this great Viking history in Iceland.
Uh-huh.
Of course, you have different towns like Hofne in the south, where you have the Viking village. You also have the Viking settlement exhibition in Reykjavik and the Viking hotel in Hafnarfjörður. Like, if you like folklore or ghost stories or Vikings, Iceland has its own map, and you can see the island with the different haunted places. You can see this is troll territory, this is elf territory, and this has ghost stories, and this is a witchy trail, or it happened this during the Viking times, and now it is a enchanted place. So Iceland has this special, different vibe.
Whoa. It seems like people are more interested in elves than the Vikings.
Actually, yes, I think many Icelanders, they studied, my Icelandic friends, since they are kids in school, they study about the Vikings. So something that for us will be an amazing mythology book that we love to learn, it's something that they've been learning since the school. So they are really
Hmm.
tired to speak always about the same. And also they get a bit upset, some friends, because the popular culture in the world has turned Vikings in whatever they want. So they picture Vikings in different ways depending where the TV show is made. If
Mm.
it's a English show, it will be different, more historic than an American show. It will be maybe more violent. And they change the names, they change the history, and then they come to Iceland with their vision of Vikings, and Icelandic people are just. "Mm."
Yeah, that's why you should travel with empty mind. So don't have
Mm.
big expectations. Don't have any expectation. Just do your research and go empty-minded and just fill your mind with what you see there, not with your expectations. That's that's the way to travel, I think.
Mhm.
Okay, these are interesting facts. What about any stories? Do you have something curious to say? Like, oh, we were going to go to the lagoon, but the bus didn't come, and then we had to walk to the lagoon, but there was so many people we couldn't manage to go. We had to go back. I don't know, something peculiar.
Okay, peculiar. Mainly have whale watching stories and whale stories.
Okay.
Uh, when I was working with a very small familiar company, when I first started to work for tourism, we work in a old military German boat, so it was very low, very close to the water. It wasn't like a huge 200 people boat. It was for maybe 15 people, up to 20 people. And we saw orcas coming up from Snæfellsnes to Flaxafloy, which is very curious to see orcas because they are from more cold waters coming down.
Ah.
And they started to go seek the dolphins, and many people got very nervous. Like, they looked at me and, can the orcas jump overboard? And I was just thinking, like, okay, biologically and technically, yes, they can jump in the boat, but they are not gonna jump in the boat to eat you. But I was just so funny at that moment that I looked at the woman very serious and I said to everybody, yes, you should get inside. And everyone just went inside the boat running. I was like, oh my God, am I a bad person? But yeah, where sometimes people gets very upset, like they don't see the whales, or they just see a flipper or a fluke or a tiny whale breaching. They expect that every single whale is going to jump many times for their beautiful pictures of Iceland. And sometimes they complain like, yeah, I just saw the back of a whale, we didn't saw the complete whale, so we want a refund. Like, whale. We don't pay the whales to show up, and they don't have a specific time. This is not water world, it's a wild nature.
Mm-hmm.
So we can drive people to the feeding grounds in a safe distance, of course, unless you go with a reboat that you can actually touch them. But I think in the moment of truth, no one wants to really touch a whale. And then they are always looking at us like, should I? And I'm like, you better not. That yeah.
So has
Mm,
somebody touched a whale? Has anybody touched
Nothing
a whale?
happens. Yeah,
But
sometimes for the
okay.
picture, they just move a bit overboard to touch the back of a whale. But maybe the whale just gets a bit upset and they do the a very hard noise with the spiracle that they have in the where
Uh-huh.
they that they use to breathe, and they just make the noise of "you are annoying me, go." But nothing really happens.
I see. That's good.
Sometimes we have the calves coming close to us, like the baby whales, the baby
Uh-huh.
humpbacks, and they just start to play. Like they pull
Oh
the
wow.
head from one side of the boat, they look what it's in there, go under, and they go to the other side.
Oh,
It's amazing.
that's good. So how big is the baby whale?
More than the boat.
All right. I can imagine. I imagine you in that scenario when you said you should go inside, and everybody runs inside the boat. And you're like, here I have the deck of my own now.
Oh yes, feeling like a pirate.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was interesting, especially the baby whales. To be fair, that was my favorite part. What about the food you have there? What are you actually eating in Iceland? Oh, you don't like the food? Is that what you mean?
Uh, the food is another huge cultural shock. It's really amazing to go to Iceland for the food. It's amazing, but also it's scary.
Tell you already have my interest. What do you mean?
You eat rotten shark, lamb's head, whale meat, puffin's heart, fish eggs that look very weird. The puffin itself, also reindeer. Uh, Traditional Icelandic dishes will be like the head of a lamb cut in two with boiled potatoes. That's
Whoa.
traditional Icelandic food. And you also have
How
like
do you call it?
a lamb kjöt, like just lamb meat. I think that has a specific name, but I don't speak
Okay.
fluent Icelandic,
Okay.
sadly. You also have the rotten shark, which is called hákarl, and that is Greenland boreal shark, but the meat is poisonous, so it has to be fermented in its own urine for many months and also buried.
Whoa.
And then from the Guinness records, it is the worst flavor and smell in the world.
But people love it.
Tourists, I say, like just maybe Icelanders, like elderlies that are more into traditional ways, they eat that, but it's not something that these new generations eat, like horse meat, whale meat, shark meat is not something common now in Iceland, but it's really big attraction for tourists.
Okay, so you say the locals don't actually eat it, but tourists.
Not really the locals. Maybe if you go to a countryside, a very
Mhm.
isolated village, and there are many elderlies, they will say, "Yeah, I bought this piece of whale, and I'm gonna feed my whole family with this piece of whale."
I see.
Hmm.
What was the name of the fermented thing you said?
How, Carla?
Have you tried it?
Nope.
You're not curious.
Not really. I just melted, and I had enough. I had enough.
Okay, so it smells the worst and it tastes the worst as well.
Yeah, it tastes a bit like ammonia, and the tongue it falls asleep a bit. Also, your mouth gets a bit not swollen, but you kind of lose it for a while. And you mix it with brennivin, which is the most famous Icelandic alcoholic drink. It will be
Yeah,
like the Icelandic vodka. So you do a shot of brennivin and a piece of hákarl of rotten
of
shark.
course. You probably need two shots. hearing how you talk about this meal. Okay, so what about is Brennivin the most popular drink?
Yeah, I think it. Oh, yes, I think so. It will be like the similar to the vodka. Like I think in Finland is Koskenkorva, in Iceland is Brennivin, but I think it's the same. I actually have a bottle there, and also they have different Viking beers. They have Einstök and Viking and Skål. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I think one of the most famous one is also Opal, which is made of licorice. Icelanders love licorice with almost everything.
All right. So you say when you say with almost everything, like usually when they sit to eat, they'll have liquor
Like almost every single
before.
chocolate has licorice on it, or
Okay.
a sweet or a piece of cake. It's with licorice, that kind of things.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. Anything else we missed? Do you have something to say more?
Mm, Iceland is great for the wildlife. We have the Arctic fox, which is the only mammal natural from Iceland. It's native from Iceland. We also
Hmm.
have the double of lambs than humans. If we have 300,000 humans, we have 600,000 lambs.
Wow. Is that the national animal,
I think so. Yes.
or is the elf? Maybe it's the elf.
It depends where you go because Iceland is separated in four. We have different totems. Like we have the lamb, we have a phoenix, we have a huge. I don't know if it's a giant or a troll. I think it's like the Icelandic representation of Odin, the Nordic god.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Before we go, actually, can you share some? Let's learn some new words. So, yo
okay.
is yes.
Yao is yes.
Yo is yes. How do you say no?
Nay,
Nay.
nay.
Okay. That's quite interesting. Yao and nay. It's a bit easy. How would you
Mm-hmm.
say hello?
Hallo,
Easy.
easy peasy. Yes.
How would you say, okay, I think that's going to be difficult. How would you say thank you?
Tak fyrir or tak tak.
Tak tak? Well, tak tak is easy.
Yes.
Tak fyrir. So is that kind of a thank you and merci? Like,
Yeah, like thank you very much will be tak fyrir.
uh-huh.
Like it will be the polite way, or if you're very grateful for something. But if you go to get a coffee, you say tak tak. Or if, for example, you are younger and the other person is a bit elderly, you say something more polite, like "Ja, tak fyrir,"
Mm-hmm.
something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Okay. So when you went to Iceland, you didn't know any Icelandish?
Not at all.
So how the process went then? How long did it take you to learn it?
Whoa, I have to went to a school, to an academy, to learn basic Icelandic, and not everyone does that. But actually, I learned more after years with my friends than in school usually happens. But the school was really great. Around 1 year, even now, which it's been almost 4 years, 4 or 5 years. I don't speak fluent Icelandic. It's extremely different because it's Old Norse. It's not Anglo-Saxonized.
Mm.
It doesn't come from the German one. And for example, old books, the old Viking sagas, which are written in old ancient Nordic, ancient Norse, uh, Icelandic people can read them really easy because the language didn't change. But for example, Norwegians can understand a bit Swedish, or between them Danish a bit,
Yeah.
but no one understands Icelanders. Will be
It's
like
one
the
of a kind.
Latin. Yes.
Okay. Wow. So you started going to school, extra classes as well, probably?
With friends, just talks with friends. But what happens working in tourism, you don't deal with Icelanders. You deal with
Mm-hmm.
many people, but Icelanders.
So if you go there with English, you'll be okay as well.
Yeah, you will be fine. Everyone speaks English.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. So on all the signs, are they in English as well?
Yes, English and Icelandic. No, I'm Like the names of the streets are in Icelandic. There's no way to translate that. But usually the signs in public places, yes, they are in English and Icelandic.
I see. Okay, perfect. Well, that's very useful. All of this not just prepares us for if we wish to have a trip to Iceland, but also you know shows us a bit about the culture, the beliefs, and how the country is as a whole. Right? It was really interesting for me. Thanks so much. Is there anything else you would like to share before we go,
Mm,
or
maybe
maybe a mess? Yeah, go on.
um, Iceland, for example, it's one of the most open in LGBTQ plus in the world. They have a whole week of pride. It's the most feminist country in the world. The first minister is an amazing, smart woman who has done so much good in Iceland. And I don't know what to say. Like Icelandic people is really different from the other Nordics. They are more open-minded, extremely open-minded and sweet. They are really close. And yes, they have this part of themselves really into the nature still. I don't know. I think it's an amazing place to discover, and especially for solo travel. I Whether if you're a male or a female, it's amazing. You are safe. You are okay. It's a must in a lifetime.
It's a must. End of September, go there and explore the country.
Yeah.
Okay. Yo, fabulous. Tak tak. That was a fabulous talk. Thank you so much for that. And I wish you speed, you know, your flights to start going there soon so you can go back to your, you know, chilly environment and leave the sunny Spain. And
Yes.
thanks so much once again. And I wish you a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too, likewise.
As we end today's talk, I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who left a review on any of the platforms that you listen to this. It means the world to me. And more importantly, more people will be able to find this podcast. So if you haven't left a review yet, please do so. I have more guests lined up to come on the show, so expect to hear more episodes like this one for different cities, different locations. But if you like to hear something specific city, specific location, specific attraction, let me know and I'll see what I can do for you. Or even better, if you know somebody, then let me know. Connect us and we will welcome him or her in the show. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the whole thing. I wish you well. Stay curious.